My name is Peter Cunningham. I'm the president of Squannacook Greenways, which is the nonprofit that's been created to develop the Squannacook Rail Trail. This is a volunteer effort, 100%, and other members are going to be involved here today. Bill Rideout, who's our treasurer, is going to be involved, and we'll be making some comments, I think, recognizing people. We also have some distinguished guests with us today. We have Congresswoman Lori Trahan, who's here, who represents towns in this district. We have your state senator, John Cronin, here. And then we also have the state senator from Groton, Ed Kennedy, because this trail will wind up in Groton. So he certainly has an interest and is a big supporter of trails. So we certainly appreciate them being here today. This has been, and you'll hear as Bill's going to be giving some remarks about what led up to this point, this has been a labor of love for a long, long time. And we've gone down a lot of different paths. I've had a lot of different, I guess, bumps along the way, but we finally got a plan, sort of a model in place that worked, which was working as a nonprofit to build a gravel stone dust trail. And this trail has now been, finished for, well over 4 months. And those of you that have walked on it and looked at it and see the quality of the construction, the way the surface holds up, I think have been impressed. And this is, I think, bids well for what's going to happen when this is all said and done. It's also a critical link in a larger network of trails, which we hope to work on. And we are looking, even once this first 3.7 miles is completed, we're looking at ways to expand this and to link with other trails, because trails are really critical assets to the community. They form connections. They're safe ways for people to get around, and there's a lot of good things to be said about it. So we're going to try to keep comments short. At this point, though, I'd like to turn it over to an invocation from Father Sean Mahar. Is it, how did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, that's close.
All right. Father needs to be close to the mic, but thank you very much.
There was a priest I heard about last weekend. He was, there was a thing in his honor, and he asked his sister, "What should I speak about?" She said, "About 3 minutes." God came into the world to gather those who were scattered. Whatever contributes to bringing us closer together, therefore, is in accord with God's plan. Thus, those who are separated from each other by mountains, oceans, or great distances are brought nearer to each other whenever new highways are built or rail trails are converted. Let us then call on God to bless those who have worked on this project and to protect those who have worked on it and those who will travel on it with His gracious help. O God, you who are never far off from those who serve you, with fatherly protection, you always guard those who trust in you. By your grace, be the guide going before those who use this converted rail trail, and be the companion to sustain them on their way. By your favor, protect them from adversity, so that they may arrive safely at their destination and accomplish what they set out to do. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Amen. I want to say a particular prayer as well for Steve Meehan, a lay parishioner of St. John's here in Townsend, who was extremely helpful in the accomplishment of this project. Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and may perpetual light shine upon him. May his soul and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen. I'll just do a little bit of holy water on the trail, and I'll pass this over to State Senate, to U.S. Congresswoman Lori Trahan.
Well, thank you so much, Father, and good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you. What a What a great reason for us to all be outdoors and to celebrate the first phase of this unbelievable trail, which I know so many people have worked so hard on. Squannacook River Rail Trail's opening has been a long time coming, and we're delighted to celebrate with so many dedicated partners in the community. We know how deeply involved you've been to get us to this point. So the opening of this trail is particularly exciting to me and to Caroline because our family use all the rail trails in the Massachusetts 3rd District, especially these last 18 months. We have been using them more than ever before as a way to get outside and really enjoy the outdoors. And it's one of the many reasons I'm so proud to work alongside incredible partners, local partners, state partners, our community partners, our nonprofit partners to deliver the support for the Squannacook River Rail Trail. I'd be remiss if I did not give a special shout out to the volunteers and the board members of the Squannacook Greenways Incorporated, who for a decade, under the radar, without any sort of groundbreakings or ribbon cuttings, they do the work. They've been the driving force to get this construction of this trail. Woohoo! Right. That's right. Let's be clear, their dedication to getting this trail to fruition is nothing short of inspiring, and it's what it means to be an active participant in our community. Rail trails are so important to our communities throughout this region. They connect us. By connecting the trail between Groton and Townsend, we're giving families like mine and yours and so many more the opportunity to explore nature freely and safely. Rail trails provide a space not only for recreational activities, like you brought your scooter today, yeah, but they also influence economic and community development. They provide alternative routes for people who ride their bikes or walk to work or to school. And when we expose our young people to alternate methods of transportation like this one, we're teaching them how to live environmentally friendly. And that's how we prepare our region's that's how we preserve our nation's our region's natural beauty while also ensuring that future generations pick up where we left off. It's not lost on any of us here today just how much the rail trails have served as a lifeline over the past year and a half. Many of us renewed our passion for the great outdoors when we found ourselves constantly looking for a way to get ourselves and our kids out of the house in the safest way possible during the pandemic. And the last 18 months reminded everyone exactly why rail trails are so vital to us and our communities. They do provide a green space for physical activity, but they've also proven to improve our emotional and mental health as well. And the opening of this rail trail is a positive step toward enhancing the quality of life in our region, encouraging healthier lifestyles, and protecting our environment. So you have many partners here, but I will continue to invest in outdoor recreation initiatives like the Squannacook River Rail Trail in the name of conservation, health, and enjoyment. So I'd like to commend all of you for your tremendous work on this project. I look forward to bringing my girls to ride their bikes, maybe not their scooters, it's gravel. We made a tactical error this morning, but I hope to do that frequently, often, and soon. So thank you again, congratulations, and I would be coming with empty hands if I didn't bring this congressional certificate to present to Peter. I'm going to give to you. So this is a certificate of special congressional recognition presented to Squannacook Greenways upon the celebration of the opening of the first section of the Squannacook River Rail Trail. Your commitment to the preservation of our natural and historical resources in the name of recreation, public safety, and economic and community development will have a lasting impact on the town of Townsend, the town of Groton, and the surrounding communities for generations to come. Thank you so much, and enjoy.
Thank you, Congresswoman Trahan. That's great. We really appreciate that. We appreciate the recognition, and we appreciate and certainly will work on partnering with with you going forward as we continue to build different stages of the trail. Next, I'd like to introduce your state senator for Townsend, Senator John Cronin. So, Senator.
Thank you. It's so good to join you all here today. It's a beautiful day. And I just want to express my appreciation to Congresswoman Trahan. We couldn't have a better advocate in D.C. fighting for working families. So it's so good to see you in Townsend this morning. I'm also joined by Senator Ed Kennedy, who is my partner in the Massachusetts State Senate, and he represents Groton. So me and him are gripping hands to get this done. And I had the great privilege to attend West Point, and so I'm a little bit of a history buff. And I was thinking, driving down here this morning, of General MacArthur when he left the Philippines. He said, "I shall return," and he did. And this is a happier occasion than that. But I shall return, and we are going to get this trail done. This is phase 1, but please know that you have my commitment in the Massachusetts State Senate to continue funding these vital resources that everybody can use and everybody can enjoy. We allocated more than $4 million to Mass Trails, which got to 52 municipalities. And we received a $100,000 grant here in Townsend 2 years ago. We're going to continue fighting for those resources, and you have my commitment that I'm going to continue fighting in the budget to get this trail done. But I want to conclude by saying thank you to Peter, to the Rideouts, to Joan, to everybody who's put sweat equity into this project. It takes a team of teams, and it's a remarkable legacy to leave to Townsend and Groton in this region, so thank you. And I'd like to introduce, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, this is a bipartisan effort, and Representative Harrington, Andrew Shepard is here to represent her office, and we are going to continue to work together to get results for Townsend, so thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew Shepard, and today I am here on behalf of State Representative Sheila Harrington. Sheila shares her regrets that she was unable to make it today. When I asked Sheila what message she wanted me to convey, she said how the Squannacook River Rail Trail is no ordinary path in the woods. That how in the beginning, under the fateful words of Robert Frost, when the two paths diverged in the wood, this was the one least traveled. It's taken more than 10 years to lay the groundwork and construct the first section of this trail. Countless hours, meetings, volunteers, some incredible highs and incredible lows that were overcame. But at the end of the day, this was a project driven by the community and for the community. There is nothing else like it. Most remarkable to me is the perseverance of this group. With raw grit, this group was able to persevere and construct this rail trail through grants and private funding, as represented by the community's support of the named bricks here at the beginning of the trail. My personal thanks to all for your dedication and contribution to making Townsend a community with great vision and quality. Representative, on behalf of, Senator Cronin and I would like to present the citations to Peter and the Rideouts.
Can we get the members of the Townsend Select Board to come join us too, please? And everybody, who are we forgetting, Peter? We want the leadership of the
Squannacook Greenway.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, go right on. Pete Carson, Joan. Come on, Joan.
Caroline. Okay, let's come on out.
All right, yeah. Photo op. All right.
So on behalf of the delegation, Representative Harrington, Senator Kennedy, myself, and the Massachusetts legislature, we just want to say thank you to all these leaders for the work they've done, the work they're doing, because we wouldn't be here without you, so thank you. Peter, can you accept that? I will.
Peter, I got a second one for you.
All right, great.
Just getting all the hardware
Yeah.
today.
Thank you. Awesome, great. Where's the check?
It's coming. It's in the mail.
All right, good. And also, Senator Kennedy, who's our state senator from Groton, he's here, Senator Ed Kennedy. And I don't know, you have a few words you want to say? I know you're a big supporter of trails. You've certainly done a lot in your
Right.
district. And
I'll just take, Father, I'll take less than 3 minutes. I'm State Senator Ed Kennedy from the next district over, and I'm here just for a couple of reasons. One, because I think it's always a great day when we can add mileage to the rail trail system in Massachusetts. Also, Peter Cunningham is a constituent of mine. He's also a member of the Board of Selectmen in Groton, and a real champion of rail trails throughout Massachusetts. And then the third reason that I'm here is also because although Senator Cronin and I have been in the state senate together for several months now, because the State House is closed and because we've been doing everything on Zoom, this is the first time that he and I have been together in person. So that's another reason. But anyways, it's a great day. I just came from Groton Fest. I'll probably head back there when I leave here. But it's great to be with you all today, and hopefully I'll be coming through here on this trail at some point in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, good. So, okay, and at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Select Board member from Townsend, Veronica Krell. Tell. Okay, thanks.
I'm Veronica Kell. I'm a member of the Townsend Board of Selectmen, and I just want to say that this is a great day for Townsend. It's wonderful to have everybody here to celebrate opening day for the Squanicook River Rail Trail. The trail was a long time coming. You've heard about that from pretty much everybody here who's spoken. We thank the folks who got it done. This is an idea that was in the works since the mid-1980s. It was part of the original master planning process for the town of Townsend. And that idea was passed on and on for over 10 years until finally it landed with a very persistent group who worked many, many years to get us to this day. So thank you to everyone on Squanicook Greenways for your hard work and persistence. It's exciting to have this section of the rail trail complete. It's a critical piece in connecting the neighborhoods of Townsend and making the town a walkable and bikeable community. Today, we can cycle safely from Meeting House Road to the center of Townsend, visit Cliffs or Evans, and cycle or walk back. And hopefully, sometime in the future, we'll be doing that between Hannaford and the center of town. And the same from West Townsend to the center of town. This is a vision that the town and the town's residents can make a reality. It's all possible. With the support from all of us here and all of the people of Townsend and beyond, we can see the completion of this rail trail through all its phases. This is about community, connection, and coming together. And this is the first part of what is a very exciting future for Townsend. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Veronica. I don't know, those of you with a keen eye will note that we actually, we like to use stuff over again if we can, and we actually have a piece of the old original rail tie-down plate here holding the podium and keeping it level. So we are an industrious group. Next I'm going to turn it over to our treasurer, Bill Rideout, who's really kind of been the driving force behind this and keeps herds the cats and keeps us in line and is very helpful. And his wife, Cheryl, is great and gives us, although it's been difficult having virtual meetings, but she would always make cookies for us. So when we had our meetings, we always had fresh cookies, which was one of the reasons that kept the group together. I think. So, Bill, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. To be honest, as Gary Shepard calls me, I'm the rail trail cheerleader. So, you know. So thanks for everybody for coming out today. I've dreamed of this day since way back in 2003, when Steve Meehan and I sat together at a meeting that Al Futterman called to bring this idea in front of us. And so looking back at those 18 years since, it's clear to me that my major contribution has been my ability to talk people way more talented than myself into helping. And so that's my task today. I'm going to thank all the people who helped make this rail trail a reality. The plan is I'm going to have different groups come out, and I want you to stand behind the bricks there, and we'll take your pictures of the different groups. And if I miss any groups, I apologize in advance because so many people have helped. So the first group I want to talk about, I mentioned that Steve and I attended a meeting in Memorial Hall in 2003, but the project, as Veronica mentioned, started before that. Way back in the 1990s, the first two people I've met who were advocates for this trail were Herc and Louise Fortin and Ken and Sue Gherkin. Now the ways that those two couples have contributed to Townsend would be an entire afternoon to cover, but they've worked on this project for the last millennium, and their enthusiasm and energy have been an inspiration to everybody in Townsend. So with our first group, the Fortins and the Gherkins, please come forward and have your picture taken right up there in front of those bricks. Barrels. Guys, you want to turn around, Peter, the other way?
Come on this side.
Oh, all right, whatever way.
Over here.
All right, you guys. All right, they're moving.
Oh no, you guys are good.
We got to figure this out. Oh, well, that's good. Then you're in there.
I don't want to be in their way.
All right, go ahead. Technical difficulties. All right, let's give a big round of applause for these two terrific couples. So the next group I'd like to acknowledge is Al Futterman and the National River Watershed Association, or the NRWA. The NRWA has been was the driving force behind the National River Rail Trail being built, and Al felt that the abandoned rail trail in Townsend and Groton would make an equally wonderful rail trail. So it was Al and his associate, Bob Hickok, who showed up at Memorial Hall in 2003 to make a formal presentation to Townsend residents. It was not an easy sell, but Al went on to be the guiding force behind this project for almost a decade, until the formation of our nonprofit, Squanicook Greenways. To put it very mildly, those were challenging times, but Al held the group together and served as a mentor to us who were all new to this. Steve and I used to joke that our relationship to Al was like the hobbits being spurred on by Gandalf to do things that they would never have expected of themselves. And this is no physical, this is strictly a metaphysical kind of thing. So if everybody from the National River Watershed could come forward. We actually have, I don't know, Marion, would you want to come forward, please? We have Marion Stoddard here, legendary legend. Oh, and sorry, and there's Lucy Wallace there too. Picture time.
Joan.
Oh, Farrell was that director, yeah. Oh yeah, Joan, we have board of director member Joan Watkowitz, all around talented person. A big round of hands for a group that's behind so many things in this area. The next group of people I'd like to thank helped us with advice on some of our most challenging issues. One such issue was the lease with the owner of the railroad, the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority, or the MBTA, which required whoever signed it to accept full environmental liability. Steve Winslow, an environmental lawyer, a longtime rail trail advocate, was a key figure in working out the whole process of how rail trails could still be built in spite of this liability. Steve was willing to come out to our town, talk to us and the Townsend Select Board about this issue, and has been a valued advisor to us ever since. Another advisor mentor to us was Colleen Abram and Ed Yaglu and the whole team at Wachusett Greenways, the driving force behind the Mass Central Rail Trail. Wachusett Greenways gave us a model as to how a nonprofit could have remarkable success building a stone dust rail trail. a model we slavishly followed, even down to modeling our name after theirs. Another key challenge for us was the location of the rail bed behind the Reed homestead and the harbor pond. We all wanted to both preserve our town's historic feel and to build a rail trail. For this issue, we turned to some of Townsend's longtime leaders, John and Mary Barrett and Jean Rahala. The solution they came up with, diverting the rail trail at Harbor Church, would never have come about without the efforts and skills of these accomplished peoples. So I'd ask our third group, our talented advisor group, Steve Winslow, Wachusett Greenways, John and Mary Barrett, and Jean Rahala, to please come forward and get your picture taken. Thanks so much to this talented group. Thank you, John, Jean, and Steve. By far, the hardest challenge we faced in building this rail trail is figuring out how to get the MBTA lease signed. At one point, there was a meeting we attended at the State House where it seemed that all hope for this rail trail had disappeared. And so the next story I have is about the combined efforts of a whole group of people who were key to saving this rail trail from certain failure. As a nonprofit, we wanted to follow the footsteps of the enormous success of Wachusett Greenways in building the Mass Central Rail Trail. Our vision for how that would work was for to have the Department of Conservation and Recreation, or DCR, sign the MBTA lease and then sublease it to us. We approached DCR about this idea, and they were extremely supportive. We were especially helped by Tom LaRosa at DCR, who was then in the process of negotiating a lease between the MBTA and DCR for the Mass Central. And so we incorporated Squannacook Greenways in 2001. Things were looking good, and so we started raising money for construction. We turned first to the Community Foundation of North Central Massachusetts. The Community Foundation is an organization that channels resources provided by donors to area nonprofit organizations to improve the lives of people in the North Central Massachusetts region. Although we as yet had no legal right to build this rail trail, the Community Foundation took a leap of faith on us and granted us an $18,000 grant in 2003. This grant will play a key role in that fateful meeting in Boston I'm about to describe. In early 2014, disaster hit. Tom LaRosa from DCR told us he had come across an old regulation that arose from an incident in the 1960s that limited DCR from leasing any property for longer than 5 years. This arrangement did not satisfy anyone and threw our whole vision into disarray. Maybe we could find a different state agency to sign the 99 years for us, lease for us. So we set up a meeting in Boston at the State House to see if there was any way forward. A number of critical allies attended the meeting to lend support. Representative Sheila Harrington showed up in person, along with representatives from Senator Jen Flanagan and Eileen Donohue's offices. Our town administrator in Townsend at the time, Andy Sheehan, found out about this meeting and approached us and offered to attend, an offer we gratefully accepted. Tom LaRosa from DCR invited representatives from the MBTA and Mass Highway. We started the meeting in Boston explaining that we had already begun fundraising to build this rail trail, and thanks in part to the Community Foundation grant, we had over $30,000 in the bank. Andy Sheehan told the group that it was unlikely Townsend would ever sign the lease because of the environmental liability issue, but the rail trail itself was popular in town. Then, as we went around the room, we could find no other state agency that was legally able to sign the MBTA lease. Then, there was a good 15-second lull in the conversation, during which time I thought, well, there goes a decade of work right down the drain. Then the MBTA made a suggestion. How about they put the MBTA lease out to bid? That bid would allow the winner to build a rail trail with free access to all users. The MBTA had never done this before, lease it to a nonprofit. But something about the support we had from our state reps, our town administrator, DCR, and the fact that the Community Foundation grant proved we had the ability to fundraise made the MBTA take a leap of faith on us. This was a great deal for us, but of course to every other business, the offer was to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars without making a penny in return was insane. So not surprisingly, we were the only bidder, and we won. So in March of 2015, Steve Meehan signed the lease, granting us the legal right to build this rail trail, the first nonprofit in Massachusetts to do so. So I ask our fourth group, all the representatives from groups that helped save the rail trail that critical day in Boston, our state reps and senators, past and present, anyone from DCR and the MBTA, our former town administrator Andy Sheehan, and everyone from the Community Foundation. Would you please step forward? That's you, Mr. Shepherd, too. This is not your last time out there, John, so. And let's give a good round of applause for these heroes of our MBTA race. And now it's money time, yay! So now it came time to actually build the trail. We needed to raise money, never an easy task. I'll be talking about the many people who helped us, but first, let me introduce the two other groups besides the Community Foundation whose grant covered a major portion of our construction costs. The first is the Bruce J. Anderson Foundation, which was established in 1980 by Bruce's brothers, two of whom are here today, and sister to honor Bruce and support the causes he championed. The Bruce J. Anderson Foundation supported the National River Watershed Association during the long development phase of this project, and then has given us two major grants to help pay for construction since we signed the lease. Finally, our largest grant to date has come from the Mass Trails program, which the Senator mentioned already, run in part by DCR. Last year, Mass Trails gave us a $115,000 grant, which covered a large percentage of the $178K we spent on constructing the 1.1 miles of rail trail that opened today. Since we have some federal and state representatives here today, they're probably on my side already, but I would like to make a 30-second pitch for the Mass Trails program. The Mass Trails Grant Program is the vehicle that drives the development of cost-efficient trails and rail trails all over Massachusetts. Mass Trails grants tend to support lower-cost projects like our Stone Dust Rail Trail and tend to have a really big bang for the buck. For example, if you walk this new rail trail today, just look at the value Mass Trails got for a $115K investment. However, this year, Mass Trails received $11 million in grant requests, but only had $3.5 million to grant. So my belief is that extra spending on the Mass Trails program might be one of the most cost-effective ways to improve the lives of Massachusetts residents, and that's the end of my pitch. Thank you. Anyway, I'd ask our fifth group, the representative of our three major grant agencies, the Community Foundation, who is just out there, the Bruce J. Anderson Foundation, here are the two brothers, and anyone from DCR or the Mass Trails, please come forward. So thanks so much for these groups, without whom there would definitely be no rail trail. In addition to the support we got through grants, we also had a tremendous outpouring of support from local townspeople and businesses. I would like to acknowledge those supporters now. First, I would like to thank the donors at the granite bench level who donated $5,000, and we will be installing granite benches in their names. Not yet, but we will be. These include Bill Wilkinson, who donated a bench in honor of one of our earliest volunteers who left us all too early, Faith Wilkinson. The McNabb family, who donated a bench in honor of their father and friend to almost everyone in Townsend, Terrence McNabb. Bill and Deb Reeves, who donated a bench in honor of their son Greg, for whom Greg's Race is named. Paul Sebring and Joan Watkowitz, and Paul's company, Sebring Mechanical. Myself and my wife, Cheryl Rideout, who, as Peter already mentioned, is the driving force holding this project together, and not just with her cookies. And finally, the Meehan family and their friends, who donated 2 benches in memory of Steve Meehan. Oops, well, sorry, one more. And the Jerome family, who donated a bench in honor of Mark F. Jerome, longtime friend and advisor to me on all things rail trail. So would everyone associated with any of those donations please come forward for a picture? Yes, that means you, Colin. Colin McNabb. Karen, let's go. The McNabb crew is here. Thanks to you all. Almost done. Next, I would like to recommend to honor the businesses and individual donors who donated $1,000 and are recognized on that brand new granite pillar just installed by Townsend Memorial on Sunday. So these people are John and Mary Barrett, Paul Sebring and Joan Watkowitz, Ken and Sue Gherkin, Bill Wilkinson, Kirk and Louise Fortin, Evans on the Common, Jeff and Beth Dominic, the Kite family, Steve Meehan, Bruce Easom, Peter and Jean Cunningham, Sharon Gage, the Schambergers, Ed Turkowski, Aeroseptic, Mike Whittemore, who also donated the two porta potties you see here, Workers Credit Union, Duncan Catalano Management, North End Subaru Mazda, Neshoba Paddler, which is the company that rents out the canoes in West Groton on the National River, Deluxe Corporation, Rollstone Bank and Trust, Will and Sharon Hackler, Townsend Center Realty, Bailey's Bar and Grill, Squanicook Associates Real Estate, Apple Meadow Hardware, and the Rideout family. So if those groups could all come forward for quick pictures. Thank you. You guys don't touch. Yeah. Go on. Mary, let's go front. Come on, Mary. Yeah, right. Wait a second, we got the Gherkins coming here.
Yeah, we swap. Not funny.
Let's give everybody a round of applause. Thanks. We also had a very successful Donate a Brick fundraiser, as you can see in front of you, that brought in nearly $25,000. Rather than read all the prescriptions, and I don't think you want me to do that, I would ask that everybody who donated a brick in Townsend come forward and stand up on the bricks, and we'll take a picture. Come on, that's just everybody up there.
Including you.
This is awesome. All right, thank you very much, everybody.
It's probably Andrew Shepard. He's a... No, it's not him. It's not your drone this time.
All right, so after raising money, we still needed to work through permitting. Stan Dillis was a great help in this, and members of both Townsend and Groton's town governments spent endless hours with us to work through the process. We have really appreciated the close working relationship we have with the officials from both towns, so we now ask that our ninth group, Stan, the selectmen from both towns, and all other town officials, past and present, please come forward and get their picture taken. So that's wherever you are. There's good. No, oh. Did you lose you, Veronica? No. So thanks very much, everybody. All right, one of the highlights. When I said I was good at getting talented people to help, there is nowhere where that is truer than our outstanding construction team. The Kings did a great job clearing the trees in 2020 at a very reasonable price. And I cannot say enough about Gary Shepard and his talented team that poured their hearts and souls into building this first section of the rail trail, going well beyond what we required in the specifications. Working with James Gates, Chris Overton, and the other team members, we quickly realized that these people are part tradesmen, part engineers, and part artists. For Gary's team, it was truly a labor of love, and those who have walked or biked the trail all agree. So would all the people involved in building this fine rail trail please step forward to have their picture taken. That's you, Gary. Come on, Chris. Oh, we got Chris and James. All right. There's Mr. King. All right. This is one talented team, let me tell you. Just to let you know how devoted they were, Chris was working this morning on this. Thanks to this tremendous team. Hopefully we'll see them again in a future opening. As Peter mentioned before, we are a fully volunteer organization. Before I discuss any members of our board, I'd like to have all the board members who worked on the many, many volunteers days to come forward for a picture. The energy and enthusiasm of volunteers was a key reason for this project moving forward. So if you've ever come out and worked on this rail trail for one of our volunteer days at any time at all, please come forward and we'll get your picture taken. Come on, don't hide it. Hello. And don't worry, there's lots more volunteer days to come, so pretty much until eternity. So next to last, I'd like to thank our enormously talented board that have served in the past at Squanicook Greenways. So past board members include State Representative Bob Hargraves, our first fundraising guru, Roland Willis, longtime bicycling advocate Alfred Gadway, who's here today, and former Townsend Fire Chief and Selectman Don Klein. Our Groton members include Peter Cunningham, you've met, Pete Carson, and Bruce Easom. Our Townsend members include myself, Master Trail Builder Ray Jackson, Mark Cram, our engineering guru, and with an incredible stroke of good luck, our professional grant writer, Joan Wackowitz. Rounding out our Townsend membership is Police Chief Rick Bailey, who hopefully is no longer dealing with traffic. My friend and neighbor Tim Palmer, and Dan Hager and his son Hatch, who's our rail trail tester, official rail trail tester. So if everybody from the board, past and present, would come forward for one picture. Can we swear you in now, Amy, as a new member? All right, last. So finally, and I am really almost done here, I would like to speak about the first president of Squanicook Greenways, friend to myself and so many, Steve Meehan. Soon after that first meeting in 2003, Al Futterman contacted me, asking me to attend a meeting about moving forward with studying this rail trail. There had been significant negative feelings expressed about this rail trail at that meeting, and at first I thought to myself, there's no way we could pull this off. Then I thought of Steve, who had that incredible gift of putting people at ease no matter what the situation. And I said to my wife, Cheryl, I think if Steve agrees to go, against all odds, we may actually build this rail trail. So I called Steve. He did agree, and while it took 18 years to come true, my prediction was right. Steve had a knack of making people feel like friends, even when they are on opposite sides of an issue. It was that gift that made Steve so critical to bringing this rail trail to reality. So we very much hope that our plans to build a pedestrian bridge across the Squanicook River and name it Meehan Bridge are able to be fulfilled to honor our good friend. But, as Steve's sister Judy recently joked with me, if Steve were standing here today and listening to me talk, he would probably make a wisecrack that just tie-wrapping some old milk crates together to form a bench along the rail trail in his honor would save a lot of money. So now I would like to take our final picture with in front Steve's family and then everybody who considered Steve a friend behind them. So Steve's family on the grass there in front and everybody who thought of Steve as a friend behind Steve's family. And that we will be done. All right. So no wisecracks up in heaven there, Steve. All right. So, Peter, did you have any last words, or? Go ahead. Just tell everybody.
All right, great. So we're finally done. You should go to church more and listen to the listen to the priest.
Did he tell you to say that?
But again, thank you everybody for coming out. This has been a great event. It's certainly gratifying to us, I know, as members of Squanicook Greenways, to actually see this happen and to see everybody here. And stay tuned. We're going forward with this, and really looking forward to it. But now is the time, if you have the time, to walk it. It's a very nice walking trail, and you get a good sense for what was done and the quality of the construction and everything. Also, I think over at the table there's a sign-up sheet, I believe. If people want to leave their names and email us and everything, we'll keep people in touch about what's going on. So again, thank you so much for coming, and thank you to our Congresswoman Trahan, State Senator Kennedy, State Senator Cronin for being here, and Mr. Shepard representing Rip Harrington. Those partnerships are going to be very, very critical going forward. So thanks again, and we'll see you on the trail.
Hey.